This is Community Close-Up with Jay Dow.
Millions of families are about to take to the skies for a busy spring break travel season in the midst of serious safety concerns.
It is a serious job, like I said. A lot of people's lives are at stake.
What does this mean for the next generation of aspiring mechanics and air traffic controllers? Plus,
instead of digging in and be tougher, you wilt. Where is your toughness?
Legendary men's basketball coach Rick Pitino preparing the Red Storm for March Madness. And
this is what I know. To me, it's pressure.
A close look at the popular live poultry market industry centered in Brooklyn and beyond.
Ramadan is the busiest month, boss.
But can the industry fight off another bird flu-forced shutdown? And in our community, your voice speaking truth to love in the foster care system.
They've made me a mom.
Welcome to PIX11 Community Close-Up. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host, Jay Dow. We start with safety in the skies, plane crashes, close calls, families traumatized. It's a nerve-wracking time just as kids head into their spring break and millions of people get ready to board a plane. That brings us to the issue of pressure, training, and the impact on the next generation of mechanics and air traffic controllers.
Was 11:35 Academy Ground, taxi to airline terminal via Bravo, Delta, India.
Acacia Robinson understands and accepts the enormous responsibility she's hoping to take on in the near future as an air traffic controller in a major airport.
You turn right on echo, contact ground went off.
She's one of more than 1,300 students studying to work in the aviation industry at Vaughn College in Queens, just across the highway from LaGuardia Airport.
Everyone's life is kind of in your hands too.
Do you trust me to land this? Oh, yeah, fine. Sure. Both students and staff quick to point out there are thousands of flights which safely take off and land every single day.
Jazz 1041, 6-9er fuel remaining.
With many towers still utilizing analog but reliable plastic strip holders, one of the many protocols in place for redundancy.
This is used in most local ATC facilities right now. If you went across the street to LaGuardia Tower, you'd see probably 100 of these stuffed with different strips for departures and arrivals at any one time. It's a backup. So if one system goes down, you go to the next, you go to the next, you go to, there's like 5 or 6 redundant systems.
Still, perception often drives public opinion. And for a nation gearing up over the next few weeks for the busy spring travel season, a series of recent fatal airplane crashes and close calls has rattled the confidence of the flying public.
Breaking new information in that deadly mid-air collision. 67 people have tragically died.
Investigators descend upon the crash scene along the Potomac.
Breaking news right now as well out of Canada, where a passenger plane has flipped over in Toronto.
Disaster avoided today. A Southwest plane was preparing to land when a private jet crossed into its path on the runway.
How do you feel about that pressure?
It's a lot because the problems can sometimes get a lot, but you got to prioritize. Speak to the airplane that's like 5 miles out.
This is just a flight simulator, but outside in the real world, this is obviously an industry that is under intense pressure. And for the students here at Vaughn who are studying to be technicians and engineers on the ground, to pilots in the cockpit or air traffic controllers in the tower, they hear it all, what's being said, the criticism in the public and in the White House. But for all of that criticism, they are also keenly aware that their chosen profession is still filled with opportunity, regardless of their race, gender, or where they come from.
You have to be talented, naturally talented geniuses. You can't have regular people doing that job. They won't be able to do it. But we'll restore faith in American air travel. The FAA's diversity push includes focus on hiring people with severe intellectual and psychiatric disabilities.
Vagelis Peralta splits his time as a Vaughn student mechanic trainee and an active employee working one of the ramps at LaGuardia. He's heard all of the political rhetoric questioning whether aviation safety is being compromised by diversity. In other words, the presence of women and black and brown people on the job.
One of my friends here that I get along with a lot is a girl. There's not that many girls here either. I know some people think like, oh, because we're Latinos because she's a girl, like we're not capable, but we're just as capable as anybody else here.
Oklahoma City is currently home to the only air traffic controller academy in the country. Vaughn is now in the process of making several technological upgrades to its training simulators in a competition with other colleges in the region to become a new FAA-approved on-ramp for aspiring controllers.
This is a good place to start.
It's a big deal for aspiring students in the New York metro region and Vaughn air traffic controller instructors like Steve Fano, who, like many of his colleagues, previously worked in an active airport control tower. His advice to students and the flying public during these turbulent times: stay the course.
The scrutiny is somewhat justified, but I think controllers every day work their hardest to prevent any issues and separation issues, and obviously, bad incidents. The system is excellent. There's many safeguards in the system between the pilots, between the controllers, between the mechanics.
Just the other day, one of my mom's friend is like, "You see what's happening in the news, you still want to do that job?" I'm like, yes.
For air traffic control student Acacia Robinson, it's simply a matter of soaring above the negativity.
You gotta have a positive mindset. If you keep thinking about the negative comments that are being made, then it's just gonna deter you from your dreams of your future.
Coming up, live poultry markets are a big deal for so many people in our area, but so are bird flu infections. And with so many relying on the markets, including Muslims now celebrating Ramadan, we're finding out what's being done to keep customers safe. Plus,
it's a gift. I just feel like a very blessed woman.
And stick around for a wonderful story about parents doing their part to add love to the foster care system. Muslims celebrating Ramadan represent a fraction of the customers who support live poultry markets, but this unique industry with a concentration of those markets in Brooklyn is now trying to fly above the threat of bird flu and criticism from animal rights activists. If you grew up on a farm, there's likely nothing unusual about seeing this. Chickens and other live birds and animals which you know and accept will, in short order, end up here in the kitchen and then on the dinner table. But in the New York metro region, in the place of farms, more than 80 markets sell a variety of live animals to a loyal customer base. A third of those markets are in the single borough of Brooklyn.
My family's from the West Indies, Trinidad, so this is what I know.
Abdul Musad's family runs Saba Live Markets in Canarsie, Brooklyn. That's in addition to 8 other live markets across New York City.
These are the red chickens.
That's the red chickens.
What's the difference between the red chicken and the white chickens?
The taste.
The taste. They taste
This
different?
is better quality.
It's estimated there are tens of thousands of New Yorkers who rely on these live poultry markets for a variety of reasons: daily eating, religious practices. Abdul tells us he sells about 200 lambs and goats and 21,000 chickens per week at this location alone. But this is an industry in the hot seat, under a searing heat lamp of scrutiny, if you will, thanks to the early February discovery of 7 cases of bird flu found in live poultry markets in 4 of New York City's 5 boroughs.
Out of an abundance of caution.
A looming contagion crisis which, over the last month, compelled New York Governor Kathy Hochul to order a mandatory shutdown of all 80-plus live animal markets across New York City, in addition to Westchester, Nassau, and Suffolk counties.
Ramadan is the busiest month for us.
Abdul says this crisis could not have come at a worse time for the million-plus Muslims across the New York metro region who just days ago began celebrating their holy month of Ramadan and who typically rely daily on fresh meat from these live markets.
How often during Ramadan do you come to the market?
Every 2 days.
This is how we grew up. Back home, we have fresh meat. We never ate frozen.
We still have to pay the rent, we still have to pay the mortgage, we still have to pay the employees. It's very hard.
But critics of the live market say the shutdown could not have come at a better time.
Each transmission of this virus is like a pull of the lever.
Ali Molinaro, the public policy manager for the nonprofit advocacy group Compassion in World Farming, is part of an animal rights coalition pushing for an extension of the live market shutdown in the spirit of safety. What do you say to New Yorkers, including members of the city's religious and cultural communities, who say that your coalition is out of touch with their traditions and their desire to consistently eat fresh meat?
What we're trying to say here is that we just need common sense safety measures in place.
To be clear, the coalition, citing unsanitary conditions in some locations, took issue with live animal markets long before this most recent batch of bird flu cases. Would you be okay with the continued existence of these live markets in the city if, as you say, quote unquote, common sense safety measures were put into place?
You know, I think that is really just going to be up to the science. I think we really need to learn more about what the inherent risks are of live markets.
We are monitored with USDA, Agriculture Department, Health Department. We get inspected every month here. I respect them, but they cannot force people to believe what they believe in. They should let everybody conduct their business. As long as we are in compliance with the rules and regulations, we're good to go.
Well, we certainly try to be sensitive to all, potential holidays and potential very busy times for the live bird markets. But frankly, doing the right thing is something we're trying to do here.
Richard Ball is commissioner of the New York State Department of Agriculture and Markets, which oversees the live animal markets. Ball says surveillance, as in keeping an eye out for visibly ailing or dead wild birds, will be key. Do you anticipate that there could be another shutdown this month or into April?
We're just going to pay very close attention to that possibility. We track down every little thing we hear about.
What that means for New York's live animal markets remains to be seen.
Whenever I come here, I tell my dad, let's go get fresh fish, fresh chicken.
Customers like Mariam Hussein say the survival of live animal markets and their preservation for the sake of the region's various cultural and religious traditions.
I order one rooster and one hen. Are
like birds of the same feather that belong together. This patchy weather means it's the perfect time to talk about a storm, the St. John's Red Storm, just as the men's college basketball team, led by legendary coach Rick Pitino, gets ready for March Madness. And later in the show, a powerful story of love, support, and patience. See exactly what it takes to run a household with 4 young kids, 3 of them legally adopted from the foster care system. Two years ago, the St. John's Red Storm basketball team, led by legendary coach Rick Pitino, they had dreams of returning to success when they hired him. March Madness just a couple of weeks away, and we're going to see if Coach Pitino and his team can turn those dreams into reality. Our Joe Masiri takes us into the eye of the Red Storm.
A typical day on the campus of St. John's looks like any other college campus. Students shuffling back and forth between classes, braving the cold of a New York City winter. But this is the calm and quiet in the eye of the storm, until the men's basketball team plays their next game in a historic season.
I feel like in every single class that I've been in, it's gotten brought up. It's definitely a big topic of conversation right now.
St. John's has become everybody's adopted school and university.
Ed Cole bleeds St. John's red. Not only is he the vice president and director of athletics at the university, he's also a St. John's graduate and a Queens native. In his first year on the job, Cole has spent plenty of time studying the approach of the legendary Rick Pitino.
He's an artist. He is.
In his second year coaching the Johnnies, Pitino has led the Red Storm to its best regular season in 40 years.
He always knew Coach Pitino and what his power was, his genius is. Everybody's excited for year 2. I don't think anybody could have guessed this quickly, this successfully.
But players have come to expect this from Pitino.
Dig in and be a basketball player. Dig in. Every time you miss a shot, your game deflates. We don't care about your missed shots. Play defense.
The only coach in college basketball history to win a national championship with 2 different teams.
It was always a dream, and I know that
this is just what Coach P does. He has a way with what he does and making sure that wherever he goes, they end up winning.
This year, the St. John's men's basketball team won 10 consecutive Big East games for the first time since the 1984-85 season. That team was coached by the legendary Lou Carnesecca, who passed away earlier this season. And some around campus can't help but feel that Coach Carnesecca is watching over this year's team from above.
I do believe in divine intervention. I think they're watching.
And Louie's not alone. Whether they're at Carnesecca Arena or Madison Square Garden, the Johnnies are packing the house this season. Alexi Crisp is a student and the chair of the Red Zone Fan Committee. She says this year's team has brought together generations of the St. John's faithful.
It's really awesome to see that alumni are reaching out, bringing out their varsity jackets from when they were, here. I think that's totally cool.
Cole says the team's success has helped with fundraising, ticket sales, and student retention. And the players say the turnstile swings both ways when it comes to their Subway alumni.
That's something that we need, and that's something that we thrive off of, and the energy and the support and they show us, on a given night is something that we expect.
Now they're hoping that support continues all the way through the March Madness. Reporting for Community Close-Up, I'm Joe Messeri.
Coming up, an incredible nonprofit supporting hundreds of dedicated families, including one who took in 3 foster care children. You don't want to miss this story right after the break. We found an incredible nonprofit providing wraparound support services to foster care families, helping to redefine what it means to open up your home and your heart. Mary Petrovich's weekday after-school routine is quite ordinary.
Backpacks, lunches, everything out of the car, please.
But it is driven by the boundless energy of a family with an extraordinary story.
Did you do your homework?
Yeah.
One with roots
Up to mommy.
in the foster care system.
I love you.
And bolstered by a bond that only grows stronger by the day between both parents
Uh-oh.
and siblings, with each forward flip
Nadia, who's that? Leo.
and sweet snuggle.
I don't feel like I work a day in my life, but I do a lot of work. Heart work.
Mary, who works full-time as a behaviorist consultant supporting families, and her husband, Vadim, who was still working the afternoon we visited their home, currently have 4 children, 3 of them who they fostered and then legally adopted. A family that embraces a sense of organized chaos.
Usually we're running around with counseling and therapies and gymnastics and basketball and woo!
Imani, who's 7, came into their home first in 2018. They welcomed 8-year-old Skylar in 2020. Then Mary and Vadim gave birth to Nadia in 2021, followed by the adoption last year of Leo, who's now 1.5. How fulfilling is this?
I can't put into words. It's my life's calling to be a resource parent, but just to be a mom and just love on children. It's a gift. I just feel like a very blessed woman.
For most couples, having a child is a big decision, but choosing to invite into your home and then foster 3 young children and then legally adopt all of them requires a leap of faith that Mary says she and her husband did not take lightly.
The journey's so much fun of a ride. And God's been very good to all of the kids.
As a state-registered resource parent, Mary still gets last-minute requests to take in additional foster children.
I got a call yesterday, very late in the day. Can you take a 7-month-old baby girl? And I was like, I think I can. She actually went to a different family closer by. But for a few hours, I had it in my head that she was going to come here. So I said, okay, I'm going to move this bed into this room, and I got to get the second car seat out.
Recent stats show there are more than 3,000 children in New Jersey's foster care system, and more than 4 times that number in New York State. As you may suspect, Mary and Vadim are not in this alone, and frequently receive a much-needed helping hand from New Jersey Angels, the state chapter of a national nonprofit organization that provides foster parents with a suite of wraparound support services. Kim Swilpa is New Jersey Angels Executive Director.
This is hard work. You can see 30 to 50% of homes will close in the first year. They don't feel supported, so they decide not to do it again. We're here to radically support them. It can mean babysitting. It can mean coming over and having dinner with them. It's people helping people.
Kim, what made you want to start doing this work?
I heard a statistic. I heard a statistic about 2/3 of children who age out wind up homeless, incarcerated, human trafficked. There's so many societal ills that are a result of foster care because there's not a lot of support.
And they've changed and grown tremendously, physically and emotionally, and
You've grown
mentally.
together.
Absolutely, absolutely. Oh yeah, they've made me a mom.
And their love for each other
Hold hands.
makes them an even stronger family.
Ready? Bless us, oh Lord.
What's happening in your community? Let us know. Email us at communitycloseup@PIX11.com. I'm your host, Jay Dow. On behalf of the entire team, thanks so much for watching. See you next time on PIX11 Community Close-Up.